Carvajal, Cindy Carvajal.
Hi everyone, once again this is Rob Darrow from iNACOL. We're happy that you're all here for our monthly Teacher Talk webinar. This particular webinar is entitled The Students Speak. Students talk about online and blended learning. And we have students and teachers here from Connections Academy, First Line Schools, Florida Virtual Schools, and Michigan as well. And as I mentioned earlier, I think there's some glitches, and so some people are here. Got in here at the last minute, and some people are not going to make it in, unfortunately, but we're going to move forward. So with that, I want to let everybody know who's listening that our format is this, that we're going to have a little introduction from each one of the schools, the teacher at the school, and then I've got some questions to ask the students. At any time, for those of you who are participating, if you would like to type in questions for the students as a follow-up, you're welcome to do so, and then I will ask them. I know the students, you guys asked the question, what order will you answer your questions in? I think once we get to your questions, we'll figure that part out. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to California Connections Academy, and Cindy Carvajal, I'm going to let you talk and advance the slides for your part, and then we'll move on to we'll see if the First Line Schools are here, and if not, then we'll move on to Florida Virtual.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for the introduction. And hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So I am Cindy Carvajal that you're hearing right now, and I'll tell you a little bit about California Connections Academy. I am a teacher there, and 3 of my students are here today to answer some questions for you. So California Connections Academy is a full-time virtual school. We're a charter school serving students in grades K through 12, and we have 3 schools in California. Instruction is completely independent. We don't have classrooms, so students kind of follow the independent study model, working away from a classroom. They have the support of a learning coach, which is typically a parent, but they also have certified teachers. I'm a credentialed teacher in California, and I teach students through live lesson instruction, kind of like what we're doing now, several times a week, and communicate with students through email and phone calls regularly, and through grade their work online too. Let's see, so we use Adobe Connect Pro for our synchronous lessons. So it's kind of like right now we're in Blackboard Collaborate. Similar, I have a screenshot of the screen of a literature study discussion that I've had with some of the students. And all 3 of my students that are here today are in the literature study course that I teach. They might tell you a little bit more about that. And then instruction is also done asynchronously or independently. So students may not necessarily be on the same lesson at the same time or the same course at the same time. And it's kind of nice for some of the students. They're able to work ahead maybe in math or work, whatever level that they need at whatever time that they need. So instruction can be at the same time or separately, and they work at an independent study model. So this is me. I am Cindy Carvajal. This is my 8th year at Connections Academy, and currently I'm teaching a homeroom of students in 4th and 5th grade. So that means I have all of the elementary courses for them, science, social studies, language arts, math, PE, art and educational technology. So that's kind of the independent study courses, and then the lessons that I teach, virtual lessons for, like this, are in science, language arts, and sometimes in math. So that gives you a little bit of my background. And then I have 3 students who are here with us today. Sasha and Jane are both 5th graders, and Nathan is a 4th grader, and they'll introduce themselves to you in a little bit, I think. Thanks, Rob.
So I'm thinking that, this has happened to me before where I didn't get my time quite right, and I'm thinking that perhaps our First Line Schools teacher and her students maybe got their times mixed up. Anyway, they're in New Orleans. I'll give you a little quick background about them. They're a personalized learning school throughout New Orleans. You can see a picture of them here. And they have 12 different steps for success that I'm sure they would talk about a little bit more. And then here were the students that were going to speak to 7th graders. But since they're not here, I think I'm going to move on and let our friends from Florida Virtual School talk from here.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gus Brown from Florida Virtual School, and we're so proud to be here and represent our school. Let me tell you a little bit about Florida Virtual. We were founded in 1997 with 77 students. It was the country's first statewide internet-based public school. Today, we've got 149,000 students in grades K through 12. We are now the nation's largest virtual school. We're in all 67 districts in Florida, the remaining 49 states, and in more than 65 countries around the world. Florida Virtual has a strong focus on its core mission, which is to deliver a high-quality, technology-based education that provides skills and knowledge students need for success. Let me switch a slide here for you guys. We have over 120 courses, 16 advanced placement courses, and so far we've issued over 1.2 million half credits. Students come to Florida Virtual for a variety of reasons. A lot of them like to accelerate the graduation, to get ahead, or to take a course that's not offered in their regular school. We believe that every student is unique and learns at a different pace. And some kids just take more time to master a course, and some kids like to do it faster. Now, our delivery is one-on-one through courses that are personally designed, and our approach starts with and continues to be today to put the student at the center of every decision we make. Now here's our students. We've got Benji and Hunter, both 9th graders in Hope. Benji's from the East Coast of Florida, and Hunter is from the West Coast. And they're awesome students. And thanks for inviting us, Rob.
Glad you're here. And then our other guest here is Tanya from Michigan Virtual Academy. And Tanya, I'll let you talk a little bit about your school.
Hi everybody, I'm Tanya Kuipers and I teach 4th grade here with MVCA. So we are actually operated by K-12 and we're authorized by Grand Valley State University. We have students kindergarten through 12th grade, statewide. Our teachers are all over the state of Michigan. We use dynamic teaching tools. We actually use the same platform, Blackboard Collaborate, for all of our classes. All of our teachers are Michigan certified, and we use powerful technology to deliver instruction to our students. We do require our students and families to be accountable in meeting state testing and attendance requirements. We do have all of our students take the standardized tests each year, as well as checking in to make sure that they are meeting all of their attendance requirements and their course progress as well. So what they get from Michigan Virtual Charter Academy, we are right now the biggest online school in Michigan, but we also have a connection in Michigan, but they're different from our, they're authorized by somebody else right now. But if they are with us with K-12, they have the online curriculum from K-12, they have the books and materials, everything delivered to their door, and they have the access to the teachers. And we also make it a point to plan many group outings so that we're able to meet each other. We have monthly outings, which is fabulous because the students make friends that way as well that are also in our program. And our next slide here, that's me. I unfortunately don't have any of my students here. I thought I would, but the student I had asked to join us tonight is actually on vacation right now, so I do not have my students here with me.
Great, no problem. Tanya, thank you for joining us, and thank you everybody for being here. So now it's time to hear from the students. So students, we're going to go in this order. So if you look at where your names are on the screen, so we're going to start with Benji, and then we're going to go to Hunter, and then Jane, and then Nathan, and then Sasha. I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, please type something in the chat room. So I'll ask the questions, and then you guys can answer them. Now, where did my first question go? There's question one. Got a little mixed up here. So the first question is, I'd love for each one of you to introduce yourselves a little bit. How long have you been learning in the online or blended class, and what type of school were you part of in the past, and what caused you to take an online or blended learning course? So Benji, we'll start with you to click on the talk button and share the answers to that question.
Hi everybody, I'm Benji. I'm in the Hope class with Dr. Brown, and the class is very good, and the type of school I'm in is a charter school. It's a very good school. In my school, we have to, in order to graduate, we need a credit from an online course. And I was one of the selected students to take the class in school rather than at home. So it's actually very easy doing it in school rather than at home, and doing it with Dr. Brown is very easy. He's a very good teacher.
Hi, my name's Hunter Altman. This is my first year in FLDS. Previously, I've just been attending DeSoto High School and DeSoto Middle, and I chose to take Hope online because I wanted to see what online classes had to offer, and I wanted to experience what kind of learning environment it provided. And my high school also requires that we graduate with one online credit. And Dr. Brown is just a great teacher, and I really enjoyed my Hope course.
My name is Jane Heskett, and I am in Connections Academy with Mrs. Carvajal, and this is my first year at an online school. Last year I was at a public school, and we decided to go to Connections Academy because at my old school we weren't getting much science and social studies, and we weren't getting any extracurricular things, and I was always waiting for a lot of my other people in my class to finish up the problem or having to go over it because somebody didn't understand it. And yeah.
I'm Nathan Frazier. I have been doing Connections Academy for 4 years, and I was part of a regular public school for 3 months. And the reason I switched to online schooling was because I was too fast for the rest of the class, and I would help the other students with their work sometimes because the teacher was busy. So, yeah.
Hi, my name is Sasha Tolstoff. I'm a 5th grader and I'm a student of Connections Academy since January of 2012. I'm a tennis player and was asking my parents to start homeschooling since 3rd grade, and finally they agreed last year, and I love it. Until middle of 4th grade, I was going to Monte Malaga Elementary School in Palos Verdes State, California. It was a public school. I was an A grade student, and I still am. But now, being in 5th grade, I am in advanced classes in all subjects. This semester, I started pre-algebra already, and I'm taking Spanish as an elective class.
Great job, all of you. So I think, Ashley, are you on the phone there?
Hello?
Hey, is this Ashley?
Yeah, hey, Rob, how you feeling?
Hi, good, good. So are your students there? So our first line school friends got in here. I was just talking to them on the phone. So could you have your students introduce themselves, how long they've been learning in their online class and that sort of thing?
We have two different students that I sent to you. My other two students had left and went home early. So we have Jordan Jones in 8th grade, and we have Jeremy McAfee in 5th grade. Hello?
Did you say Jordan and Jeremy?
Yes. My other two kids went home.
No problem. So Jordan, could we have Jordan tell us a little bit about himself, and then Jeremy could tell us a little bit about himself?
My name is Jordan Jones. I'm a girl.
Thank you.
I'm in 8th grade. I'm in the 8th grade. I'm an athlete. I play softball, volleyball, and that's it.
And Jordan, can you tell us a little bit about what caused you to go to that particular school, and could you speak a little louder?
My mother works at my school, so that's why I go to this school.
Great. Your voice was much louder, so I'd love to hear from Jeremy now.
Okay, my name is Jeremy McAfee. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm also an athlete. I play football, baseball, and basketball. And I'm a musician as well, and I play trumpet and piano.
And what caused you to go to that school, to the Arthur Ashe School?
Well, my mom works at the school too, so.
All right, great. So Jordan and Jeremy, just so you know, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 5 other students on here, so we're kind of going in order. And so I'm going to ask the next question, and you'll be the last two to answer. So listen really closely, and I'll read the questions. So we're going to go on to the next question here. So the next question is, what are some differences that you notice between learning in a face-to-face classroom and learning in an online or blended learning classroom? So again, just like you guys did before, we're going to start with Benji, go on to Hunter, then Jane, then Nathan, then Sasha, then Jordan, then Jeremy. So Benji, you're on.
Well, I think the difference between a face-to-face classroom and learning in an online course is much different, because when you're face-to-face, you have a better idea of what the teacher is explaining, and you're able to comprehend. Like if she's teaching something on the board, you can understand. She can show you. And with an online course, which I feel more comfortable with, because I feel there's more responsibility and you're basically on your own, and I feel more comfortable working independently, and I feel it's more of a challenge to me, and I enjoy challenges a lot.
Great. Hunter?
I agree with Benji. Online classes require more responsibility, and they also teach you how to properly manage your time. And also, it gives you the responsibility to read through, make sure that you're doing their work, and ask questions as needed. When it comes to a face-to-face classroom, you always have an instructor right in front of you telling you what to do and when to do it. But online courses require you to step it up and really show what you've got. And it helps you to do a lot on your own and teach you to do a lot.
Great. Hunter, when you talk the next time, talk a little louder. I think we heard you okay, though. Jane?
I think some differences I noticed at the online school is that there isn't as much, you don't communicate as much with your teachers and the students. You still do, and I like that, but you don't do it as much. And I think that you can work a lot faster if you need to, or you can take your time if you need to. And yeah, that's.
Nathan?
I get to take more responsibility, and I work at my own pace. I take more responsibility for my learning. I learn at my own pace in my pajamas, which is really comfortable.
Sasha?
Well, the difference is that I like the flexibility in time. I travel for tennis tournaments, which I wasn't able to do before, and I think it is more organized. We can raise hands, ask for a microphone to speak, and request to leave sometimes for the restroom. When I don't get a chance to speak to the class, I can always chat in the chat pod, share my thoughts still. If I agree or disagree with my classmates, I can type my comments and questions. We didn't have this at the regular school, and often I felt bad that the teacher didn't know what I think. And I felt shy, of course, also, sometimes I was shy to ask to repeat something there, and I'm not shy at all now. I just type in the chat. But also, it is great that I can, anytime after the lesson, go back and listen to the recordings. So if you don't understand anything, you can always go back and listen to the recordings or reread the lesson.
So, Sasha, I'm curious, how many hours a week do you work or travel for tennis?
Well, I practice every day for 6 hours a day. I have practice in the morning and practice in the evening. And what I like about it is that if I don't have time to do it during the week, I can always do it on the weekends after I play the tournaments, or sometimes it's the other way around. So I really like that it's really a flexible schedule.
So if I multiply that out right, you're spending about 30 hours a week working on tennis, is that right? 6 hours a day, 5 days a week?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. That's,
okay,
yeah,
thanks.
I practice also, yeah.
All right, so Jordan and Jeremy, the question is, what are some differences that you notice between learning in a face-to-face classroom and learning in a blended learning classroom? Because I think you guys are in blended learning classrooms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Jordan, what would you say is the difference between face-to-face regular classroom and a blended learning classroom?
The difference is you're not being pressured, and if you get it wrong, it's not like you're being criticized. It's just pushing you to go forward even more.
And Jeremy, can you speak a little louder?
Well, I kind of agree with Jordan, but I want to add that, you could take your time and you don't need to, if you're kind of behind the class, you could still take your time and work out the problems, or if you're on certain programs, you can get help from the program.
So tell me a little bit more about that taking your time, Jeremy. How are you able to take more time in a blended learning classroom than a regular face-to-face classroom?
Well, in blended learning, you're not timed at all. You're not timed, but it.
So are you saying that you can go back and do the work the way you need to do it, or work on it in the time you need to? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, and then you talked a little bit about the online tools. Is there a particular online tool or online system that you use that allows you to know where you're at and go back and work on the stuff that you need to do more work on?
Well, in ST Math, they have like cones where you could, even if you finish the cone, you can go back to different ones and rework on that one.
Great. Okay. I think I'm gonna go backwards this time. So Jordan and Jeremy, you're gonna get to go first this time. So I'm jumping to question. That was question 3, but I'm jumping back to question 2 because I'd like to hear you each talk about your current school and which subjects you take online or blended and what you like about that particular way of learning. So, for example, you guys at Arthur Ashe, if all of your classes are blended learning classes, then you would say that. Or you might say, I just take my history class and my English class are blended learning, but the rest of the classes are face-to-face. So we're curious about which classes you're taking online or blended and how they work. So, Jeremy, you get to start.
Okay, so in math and ELA, I take computer programs, and I take math and ELA and the rest in face-to-face.
So talk a little bit about how your math and ELA courses are different than your other classes and what you use to do your classwork.
Well, in the computer program?
Right.
Okay. In Think Through Math, they have special tools like math words to search up the definition. They have a calculator for if you don't know the answer to the problem and you need to just work it out. And in guided learning, you could work with a live teacher, like a live teacher online.
Got it. All right, that's a great description. Jordan, could you talk a little bit about the courses you take that are blended?
I take math and ELA also. For my math subject, I am on Think Through Math. I finished ST Math, so now I'm on Think Through Math. And it has like a specific percentage that tells you where you are and how much you're growing. And it has puts you in places like first place, second place, third place, and it helps you see where you are school-wise and class-wise.
So it sounds like what you're saying is in your math class that there's a system that tells you exactly where you're at in your math and what you need to work on. Is that true?
Yes.
Great. Anything else? So it sounds like at your school, then everybody who's in math and English language arts, all those classes are blended learning classrooms. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And Ashley, you want to add anything in there about the school, the way the school's organized?
No.
Hey, Ashley, if you wanted to add
I didn't hear it.
So Ashley, this is Rob. I was just asking, so that both Jordan and Jeremy talked about how their math and English language arts classes are blended learning. Is that pretty much the way the entire school is structured?
Yes, math and ELA. We have a program called Study Island where we also do social studies and science as well. But for the most part, we basically work on math and ELA for blended learning.
Great. Okay. Thanks. All right, so let's hear from Sasha. So which courses do you take online or blended, and tell us a little bit about the ones you talk about.
Well, this semester I started pre-algebra already, and I'm taking Spanish as an elective class. And Spanish is really interesting because what I like about it is you can listen to recordings. Like they have recordings of a professional like Spanish translator, and they say every word and every phrase. You can hear how to say it properly. And there's also at the end of the lesson you can record yourself and listen and compare it and see and until you're satisfied that you speak exactly like how it should be said. You go on to the next lesson. And the subjects I also take is science, social studies, literature. For literature, we have live lessons every week, and it's really interesting. They ask questions, and you listen to other people answer, and you share your different projects every other week, and it's very interesting. And language arts also, and art, and educational technology and PE. Educational technology is a great subject where I overview basically all the subjects and learn typing and learn how to study properly. We also have this thing called Skills for Success where it's kind of like multiple choice tests, and what I really like about it is when you take it, you answer your question. If you don't answer correctly, there's an explanation button, and you can see an explanation of why the answer is correct.
Nice, thank you. Nathan.
Well, at Connections Academy, I take GATE Language Arts, Literature Study, and Science. All the other classes, I'm taking the general courses for 4th grade. I'm thankful for doing this online because I am a competitive dancer, and the GATE courses require a lot of work. I can do my work ahead of time and still be able to work my dance practice schedule in. I usually attend live lessons with my class and teacher in the mornings, and my practice is in the afternoon. I can attend live lessons on my iPad from anywhere.
That's pretty awesome. So since you said you can attend your lessons from anywhere, where are some of the places that you've attended your lessons from?
I've actually gone to my dance studio and done my schoolwork, and I've also done my schoolwork on the way to Disneyland and at Disneyland. And
in the car,
sometimes, huh? Yep, in the car.
Great. So I guess that would be another plus for online learning, that you can really take it wherever you go, huh?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, Jane, how about you? What are some of the subjects you take online, and what can you talk about those courses?
I take a gifted and talented language arts and gifted and talented science. And then I take social studies and 6th grade math. And like Sasha said, I take the technology course and the literature study and PE and all art and all those other ones. And I like the fact that I can go ahead and that I can be in GATE classes and I could be in like 6th grade math and stuff. I like that, and I also like that it isn't just mathematics and language arts like it used to be at my old school. It also has science and social studies and art and technology and literature study, which unfortunately ended today, so I'm very sad. But yeah, I like that about that.
So you take an art class? Is that what you said?
Yes, I take an art class.
How do you do art online? Tell us how that class is organized.
So there's a lesson, and you'd read through the lesson, and usually you'd like learn about like a period or something, or a type of artwork in that period, or something like that. And then there'd be an activity, and it would tell you how to do the art thing, and you'd do it by yourself, like in paper and stuff. And then there'd be a review and a little quiz. Not really a quiz, but like it's not really like actual like affecting your grade. It's just to make sure you know what it is. And it talks about the thing you learned about before you did the art lesson, like the painter or something. And that's basically how it works. Oh yeah, and then
how do you? So you actually do the art. You do some sort of art. So how do you turn in the artwork?
You don't really turn it in. You just do it.
Okay.
You don't. But there's also at the end there's a test to make sure you know everything you've learned about. So I kind of like that you're learning art. It's not just like, here, try to draw some lines. You know, I like that.
Great. Sasha, you want to add something about the art class? Go ahead.
I just also wanted to say that you learn about the periods, yes, like Jane said, but also at the end, like towards the end of the lesson, you have to draw something from that period. Like for example, and what I like about it, they give you techniques about it. They sometimes even give you links with like videos of how other people draw it, and also they give you kind of tips and techniques. And then you have to draw it yourself, and you send it every month, like as a work sample. But then they ask you quick checks, like ask you questions, like sometimes multiple choice questions. Sometimes you have to type at the end of the quick check, and then you just have to they ask you techniques, they ask you about the period. So yeah, it's kind of very interesting, and it's also nice that they really give like cool techniques when you draw.
Great. Thank you for adding to that. All right, Hunter and then Benji. What subjects do you take online, and what can you tell us about those courses?
I'm currently taking Hope, and during Hope, it's laid out like a virtual textbook. And
so, Hunter, I'm going to stop you because I can't hear your voice. Can you talk a little louder?
Can you hear?
Much better. Okay, go for it.
Okay. During Hope, it's a virtual textbook, and there are 2 segments. Each segment consists of 4 bubbles, and as you go through the reading material in each bubble, you go through and answer milestones, and then you do a workout log while you're working through your lessons. And then there's also a project at the end of every lesson, and then that's to make sure that you are understanding what you're learning during that lesson. There's also live DDAs that Mr. Brown administers, and he also talks with all of us and makes sure that we're learning and makes sure that we are keeping on pace and we understand, and if we have questions, we can ask questions.
Now, are you taking all of your classes online or just a couple?
No, sir. Hope is the only one.
Oh, and then, so do you go to a regular face-to-face school too?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Benji, how about you? What would you like to talk about as far as your online course?
Well, I also take the Hope course, and very, very easy class. The assignments we take, the assignments that we are given, very simple. We read the lessons, like Hunter said, everything that Hunter said, very, very simple. We have projects, we got workout logs, DBAs, which is short for discussion-based assessment, which is like a quiz, and very easy, no problems, and I find it much easier than face-to-face, basically. It's much easier.
Talk about what makes it much easier than face-to-face for you.
Well, it's just, I feel like there's less pressure compared to face-to-face, because when you're face-to-face, you know, normal teachers will be like, okay, you got to submit the assignment at this date and this date, and you have to have this and this, and, you know, Dr. Brown, you know, he allows us to submit it when we're able to. You know, if we're having trouble with it, if I have problems with a certain assignment, which I rarely do, I would call him or I'll text him and I would ask him, Dr. Brown, could you explain this assignment to me? I'm having trouble understanding what you're asking of. So I feel it's more independent and more of a challenge to me. And like I said before, I really enjoy challenges, especially in an online course like this.
Great, thank you. So I wanted to pause here for just a minute and see if any of the teachers wanted to add anything to what the students have said in the first three questions. Dr. Brown or Cindy or Tanya or Ashley, anything you want to add?
Okay.
Hi, this is Dr. Brown. Yeah, Benji and Hunter did a great job. They're in what's called a virtual learning lab. If I could explain it for a second. They go to a computer lab each day in school, and it varies, might be about an hour and a half, depending on the school. And while they're in the lab, they work on this particular course only. During that time, I'm on the computer from my home, and I can correct their assignments if they send them in right then and there, so that they get their grade on that work. They can text me or call me or send me an email right while they're in the lab, so that I can help them. Benji's school, fortunately, is not far from my home, so I'm able to visit that school every 2 weeks. I haven't been over to Hunter's school yet, but that's how a VLL, a virtual learning lab, works.
Great, thank you. Tanya or Ashley, anything you want to add?
I mean, the kids did a great job. We pretty much more of a to where our kids, our blended learning program is really for our high kids and our consistent kids, and it gives us a chance to pull out our low kids and do extra interventions with them. And that's basically how we structure our lab. It's more to help those really struggling kids that's in their core classes, to pull them without losing the focus of our high kids and our consistent kids.
Great, thank you. And those of us who are on the webinar here, I'm smiling because it's great to see the interaction between teachers and students in the chat room complimenting each other for the work they're doing here. So, all right, students, we're going on to the next question. Question 4. So many adults think it's easier to cheat in online courses. So would you say that's true? And let me just start. I think I'll start with Benji, and we'll go down the list. And then for these other questions, I think whoever feels strongly about answering them, you can answer them at that point. But look, we'll go down the list and see how you answer that question. The other part of this question that if somebody else doesn't answer this is, I'd be interested to know how you take tests in your online or blended learning classroom, and how do the teachers know that you're the one actually taking the tests. So those are the two questions. So Benji, you get to go first.
Well, I agree. I think that's true, that when you're in an online course, it's much easier to cheat, because if you're on the web, you have access to the internet, so you can easily access Google or something and type in, a question that you may, like during a test. And, I think there should be a way that you can take the test without having to cheat, like a way to stay in one, like if you're in a test, you shouldn't be able to exit it and go on the internet to cheat. I believe you should take it in a fair way. Do what you have to. Read the lessons, study a lot to make sure you're ready for the test, so you won't have any problems.
Thank you. Hunter?
I kind of disagree. I think that it's a lot harder to cheat online, only because there are websites now that check for plagiarism, so that they make sure that you're doing your own work and that they make sure that the work that you're submitting is your own work. And also during exams, when we have HOPE exams, you are only allowed to have the exam window open. No other window can be open, or you are closed out of the exam and the teacher is notified. And in order to continue with the exam, you're going to have to email and ask for a new password.
Thanks. Nathan, what do you think?
Cheating is not an option. There isn't anybody to cheat off of. Plus, at Connections Academy, we have to sign an honor code at the beginning of the year. I don't want to ruin my chances of staying in online schooling by being lazy and cheating. I also don't want to lose the respect of my parents and teachers. I enjoy learning, and I want to be a doctor one day. And I wouldn't want to be treated by a doctor that cheated. When I take tests, I sit at the table and do my tests alone on paper. My mom is strict about studying and learning what I am taught. I'm pretty sure Miss Carvajal knows that my mom would never let me cheat. Plus, the state test would prove whether or not we are actually learning it ourselves.
Excellent points. Benji, would you like to add something before I go on to Sasha?
Yes. Well, what Hunter said with our segment 1 exam, because like he said, we have 2 segments for the semester. So when we have a segment 1 test for the whole unit, or the whole segment, yes, you're not allowed to cheat, because the test, like the text that you're going onto another website and then it closes it out. Now, I'm not someone who would cheat, and I'm sure Dr. Brown knows that, but I feel when you're on the internet, like a regular test, like with DBAs, I see people in my class that just go onto other websites and try and get answers, you know. And I don't think that's a good way to earn the credit that you're trying to get for, like, for me, graduation. I don't think that's the way to go. And I also want to be a doctor, and I don't think that's the way to go.
Thanks. Okay, let's hear from Sasha, and then we'll go back to Jane.
Okay, so I think it is a personality question, because I'm planning to be a pro tennis player and I have to be strong and honest. My parents accepted me to homeschool it only under one condition, so that I would have a stronger and more solid knowledge. So, well, I signed the honor code, and that's number 1. The honor code is basically you pledge that you won't do plagiarism, and you will, like, actually read the books. You won't get help from anyone. And really, my parents, they're always at work during the day, so I do all my work on my own. And there's maybe a way to cheat, but I don't see why anyone would need that, because all the tests and all the quizzes are reviews of what we learn. At every lesson, I need to do my workbook and a quick check review. Then the quiz or test is super easy, and in my opinion, the quizzes or tests are even easier than, like, cheating, because if the same questions are asked as the ones you learn. So you learn the answers, like, by reading the books, doing the workbooks, and there's the same exact questions on the test, so it's really easy. Plus, I can't go straight to the test unless I finish all the work, so you can't really cheat. Last year, my parents were very worried how I will do on my STAR test, but I did really well. In math, I got 600 out of 600. So I know I'm learning really well.
Great. Jane?
I think that it is easier because in Connections, it's basically all on the computer, and unless you're doing your textbook or workbook things. So it would be easy to, like, look it up on the internet or something, but you have to turn in portfolios, and when you do those, you have to turn in a handwritten sample usually, and that proves that it's your work. So you have to know enough to do that, and you're gonna be doing the CST and the which is the state test, and the DBAs and stuff in person, so they know you do that. And and when you're doing a report, you have to include a bibliography. And like Nathan and Sasha said, at the beginning of the year, I signed an honor code. So I think that it's in a way easier, but it's harder to get away with it.
So Jane, I'm curious, did you sign an honor code in your face-to-face school?
No, at my school we didn't. They basically just said, these are the rules. If you don't follow it, you'll probably get in trouble. There was no honor code then. And the way the honor code worked in this one was, I'm pretty sure, it's hard to remember because it was like basically a year ago. But I think you find something using a mouse pen or something. So it was online, but I still think that it's.
Thanks, Jane. I appreciate it. Okay, Jordan and Jeremy, so you're in blended learning courses. So do you think it's easier to cheat in those blended learning courses than in your regular face-to-face classes? What do you think?
Yeah, because in face-to-face classes, you get in trouble for it. But I don't think of it as cheating. I think of it as a big help.
Could you talk a little louder and tell me a little bit more about what you mean as a big help?
It's like when you're on blended learning, you're finding clues to help you out. But in face-to-face, it's considered cheating.
So do you mean that that you have access to other online resources that help you to better learn the material, so that's why you don't call it cheating?
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy, what do you think?
So, I think, yeah, it's kind of harder because these classes, they have multiple teachers sometimes, and the teachers are constantly watching you and walking around the class to see what work you have been done. But online, in my class, they have, my teacher has assigned people to help kids in class when some kids have trouble on computer work, and sometimes kids next to you could help you. So I wouldn't really call it in computer lab cheating.
Great, thank you. All right, so Nathan's typed something in the chat room, so I'm going to, first of all, Nathan, what grade are you in?
I'm in 4th grade.
4th grade. So would you repeat what you just typed in the chat room for everybody who's listening?
Saying that cheating is easier for virtual schools is like saying kids that are homeschooled will never be socialized.
Wow, I've heard many adults say things like that, and I just thought it would be great to hear that from you. And I see Sasha typed in some things here that she said there's lots of different things to do online and to help you learn the material, so there's really no need for cheating. Great. Okay, so the last question I'm going to ask you to answer today is this question here. So the principal of the school wants your advice on making your online or blended learning courses even better. What would you tell the principal? So I think I'm going to start in the middle this time, and Jane, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go down the list, and then Benji and Hunter, you'll have the last word on this question. So Jane, what advice would you tell the principal on ways to improve your online courses?
I think I tend to like if there's a gifted and talented social studies course, because there's one in science, math, and language arts, but there's no social studies, and I think social studies might be my favorite subject, so it'd be kind of nice if I could go deeper in that and learn more maybe. So I think that would be awesome if I could do that.
Great. Nathan?
I think like the electives like Spanish, I used to take Spanish. I wish they would go above 3rd grade because it goes from 1st grade to 3rd grade. I really wish it could go higher than just 3rd grade.
Great. Sasha, what do you think?
I think that I love everything the way it is about our school, but the only thing is that I wish they would add some extra like language classes for our grades because, like for example, I wanted to take French this year, but they didn't let us do it yet. So I hope they add that soon, like some more languages and more subjects that you can take. But everything else I love about Connections Academy.
Great job. Okay, so Jordan and Jeremy, the principal of your school wants your advice on making your online or blended learning course even better. What would you recommend to the principal? So Jordan, you go first.
I would recommend that when you're doing the work, you can actually have students help you, but they won't be like over your shoulder helping you. Like not face to face.
Oh, so you prefer to do the work on your own? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, video chat.
So you'd like to use more online tools as part of your blended learning program?
Yeah.
Okay. And Jeremy, what do you think? What advice would you give the principal?
Well, I would like to agree with Jordan, but I would also like to add that the principal could probably, I would recommend to the principal that, like, we could have different, like, more, like they could make, like, the blended learning lessons, like, because sometimes more fun because sometimes they just make it work, and it's barely any fun.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, Hunter and then Benji. So what would you recommend to the principal to make your online course even better?
I would just tell the principal that he or she's doing a great job. I have no complaints really. The only issue that I face is during our virtual learning lab at school, some of our computers have an issue with our sound, like I experienced today. Our headphones jacks, they don't really connect sometimes, so sometimes we have to move around in the classroom to kind of get a computer that actually works with working sound so we can actually hear the live lesson.
So you'd like to have a personal technology assistant that would always be right there to fix any tech issues for you, right?
Well, in the virtual learning lab, we do have an instructor that's there and monitoring us and making sure that we get what we need and that our issues are resolved. But just some of the computers, we do need like newer versions, I believe, because some of the sound is just destroyed because of people that misuse the computer.
Okay, great. And Benji, what advice would you have for the principal?
I have no advice to give, but I don't have any concerns at all because the way the classes are being run, I have no problems. The classes are easy. The people in the classroom, no problems. And just the tests and the assignments, everything's easy. There's nothing that could cause any concern to me.
Well, great. So I'd like everyone who's here to join me in a round of applause for all of the students and the teachers who took time out of their schedule to be here. I appreciate it, and the International Association for K-12 Online Learning applauds and thanks you for everything that you've been doing, and we certainly appreciate all of the questions and thoughtful answers that you shared with us today. For those of you who are on this webinar, here's the contact information of the teachers that were directly involved. Ashley Owens from First Line Schools, Cindy Carvajal from California Connections Academy, and Dr. Gus Brown from Florida Virtual School. And so Jane, you want to get the last word in here? Okay, you get the last word.
I just wanted to say that I remember when we were first looking into an online school, we were wondering like how our contacts would be, that like if we wouldn't see friends. I don't think that's the case at all, because now that you have a more flexible schedule, you can do more extra activities, and there's field trips that you can go to like once a month, and you get to meet at the testing. So I think that I don't think I've ever really been lonely for my friends and stuff at my old school.
That's a great thought to end on, and for all the students that are on this call, I have no doubt that you will be very successful in the future, and thanks again for everything that you guys have done to be here today. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and thanks again to everybody for being here.